In this video we're going to look at Pythagoras Theorem. Now Pythagoras Theorem is used to find the missing sides in a right angle triangle, and it can only be used in right angle triangles. Now Pythagoras Theorem states that a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and this is where c is the hypotenuse. Now the hypotenuse is the longest side in a right angle triangle, so highlight this word hypotenuse. It is the longest side in a right angle triangle. Very easy to spot, as the longest side, the hypotenuse, is always opposite the right angle. Okay, so to find the missing side, I always start with the hypotenuse. Hypotenuse squared is equal to, and then we go from here. So we're going to look at a couple of examples on how you can use this. So it says find the length of the missing side of these the triangles. So I'm just going to write down my formula. C squared equals a squared plus b squared. And then we'll go from here. So my hypotenuse is x, so x squared equals 4 squared plus 3 squared. And then this is a very nice one for us. We'll just work through this. That's going to be 16 plus 9. So x squared is equal to 25. And then that means x itself is the square root of 25. So x works out to be 5, and give it the units, 5 centimeters. Okay, we have sort of stumbled across a very important right angle triangle, probably the most important right angle triangle. This is what's called a 3, 4, 5 triangle, and this is what's called a Pythagorean triple. So a Pythagorean triple is just 3 whole numbers, basically, that work in Pythagoras' theorem. And once you've found one Pythagorean triple, you could find out lots of other ones. So for example, if I multiply these all by 2, and that was 10, 8 and 6, that would be a Pythagorean triple. If I multiply them all by 3 and got 15, 12 and 9, that would also be a Pythagorean triple. So what I mean by that is, if I had 10 squared, that would work out the same as 8 squared plus 6 squared. Likewise, 15 squared would be the same as 12 squared plus 9 squared. Now there are lots of other Pythagorean triples. Let's see if I can think of one off the top of my head. Another Pythagorean triple would be 5, 12, 12 and 13. So 13 squared is equal to 5 squared plus 12 squared. So then any multiples of these 3 numbers would also form a Pythagorean triple. So once you find one Pythagorean triple, then you can get to other ones. So there's a very good wee tip. If you want to make up a few questions for yourself or for your friend, just work with your original Pythagorean triple, and either maybe multiply them all by 10 or maybe divide them all by 10, so 0.5, 0.4, 0.3, and that will become a Pythagorean triple. Okay, the next one, I'm going to just say c squared again. So c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared. And then in this case, what is your hypotenuse? Let's have a look. It's the 3.2. So 3.2 squared is equal to x squared plus 1.4 squared. Okay, my numbers aren't going to work out just as nice, but that is absolutely fine. So 3.2 squared is 10.24 x squared, and then 1.4 squared is 1.96, and then 10.24 minus 1.96 is equal to x squared. And then if we just work that out, whatever that is, x squared is going to be equal to 8.28. Then x is just going to be equal to the square root of your 8.28. So x works out to be, and it's not a nice number here, so I've had to do this to 2 decimal places, 2.8, and the units are centimeters, and that's to 2 decimal places. Okay, next example. We have got, we'll write down our formula, c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So your hypotenuse squared is equal to the sum of the other two sides squared. So in this case, what's my hypotenuse? It is 8.2 feet. I'll just say 8.2 squared is equal to x squared plus 3.7 squared. 8.2 squared is going to work out to be 67.24. I've done that in my calculator, don't worry. And x squared plus 3.7 squared is 13.69. Bring that across to the other side to give your x squared. And then we'll tidy it up. That means your x squared is equal to, 67.24 minus 13.69. 53.55, which means your x is a square root of 53.55, which means your x is going to be equal to 7.32 feet, and again that was to 2 decimal places. Okay, a couple of problems for us now, some different types of questions. It says in this question, find the length of AC. Now let's have just draw on what AC is. AC is your long diagonal, which you can see forms a right angled triangle. So I'm going to call it x, and then I'll just say c squared equals a squared plus b squared. That's my Pythagoras theorem. So x squared is equal to 4 squared plus 8 squared. Nicer numbers this time. So x squared equals 16 plus 64. X squared is equal to 80, which means x is equal to the square root of 80, which means x is equal to, and if you do the square root of 80, you're going to get, and I've gone to 1 dp, 8.9 centimeters to 1 dp because they've asked you for 1 dp in this particular question. Okay, in this question we've got an isosceles triangle. It says find the height of this triangle to 2 dp's. So if we drop a perpendicular line, try and make it look perpendicular down, and what we're trying to find is the height. I'm going to call that h. So I'm going to redraw that triangle very roughly, but there we are. That's my height. I know that's 9, and this length here along the bottom is going to be this 6 split into 2. So it is going to be just 3, and then I'm good to go. So write down your Pythagoras theorem. C squared equals a squared plus b squared, which means 9 squared is equal to h squared plus 3 squared, which means 81 is equal to h squared plus 9. And then 81 minus your 9 is equal to h squared. 72 is equal to h squared. H then is equal to the square root of 72. So h is equal to 8 point something. What's going to be? 8.49 meters, and that's to 2 decimal places. Okay, it says in this question, find the value of x to 1 decimal place. Bit of a tricky question this. Right, we've got a right angle triangle here, and then we've got a second smaller looking right angle triangle here. What I'm going to do is use the left-hand right angle triangle to work out this wee height, and then once I've got this height as a number, I can then use this right angle triangle to find my x. So I'm going to call this height y. So I'm going to call that height y first of all, and I'm going to use Pythagoras to find in this left triangle to find my value of y. So we're going to say the left triangle I'm looking at. Let's just say c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So 13 squared is equal to y squared plus 5 squared, which is 169 is equal to y squared plus 25. And then 169 minus 25 is equal to y squared, which means 144 is equal to y squared, which means y is equal to the square root of 144. Okay, I'm just going to stop here a wee minute and talk about this. This is an exact perfect answer. Now it happens to be that this one is a square number, so you can actually find the square number here, the square root of it here, I should say. If you couldn't, I would use this as your value of y for the next part of the question. It's very, very easy to do. So it keeps it really, really accurate instead of me having to round the whole pile of decimal places. But in this particular example, it worked out very nicely for us anyway. Our y was equal to 12. This is the right triangle then. And all I'm going to do, I think I will just do a diagram here just to keep me right. I've now worked this out to be 12. That's my x that I'm trying to find, and that's my 3. So x squared is equal to 12 squared plus 3 squared. Sorry, I didn't say what it was, because remember my Pythagoras theorem is c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So my hypotenuse is x this time, so x squared equals 12 squared plus 3 squared. And then go on with this. X squared is equal to 144 plus 9, which means x squared is equal to 153, which means x is equal to square root of 153, which means x is equal to 12.4 kilometers to 1 decimal place. Okay, our last example says in triangle ABC, angle B is equal to 90. Angle B is equal to 90, AB is equal to 10, BC is equal to 14. Find the length of AC. So let's do a wee diagram. Doesn't have to be drawn brilliantly. The only thing I'd really worry about is putting the B in the right place. So here's my B. It's a 90 degrees. AB is equal to 10. So it's the shorter of the two. So there's AB, and then BC is equal to 14. And it says find the length of AC. So whatever you're trying to find, mark it as X or Y. I prefer to use X in these questions. So C squared equals A squared plus B squared. There's your Pythagoras theorem. X squared in this case is equal to 14 squared plus 10 squared. X squared is equal to 196 plus 100. X squared is equal to 296. Xn is equal to the square root of 296. And then X works out to be to one decimal place, 17.2 centimeters. Oh, sorry, that's the one decimal place. And that is us done. Okay, right folks, we've had a wee look at Pythagoras theorem. Always write down your formula, C squared equals A squared plus B squared, and always start with your hypotenuse squared is equal to whatever it is. So here was an example where your unknown, the thing you're trying to find, was a hypotenuse. Over here is an example where in this triangle, your hypotenuse was 13. So you had to start with 13 squared equals, and then your unknown thing squared plus 5 squared. But if you always start with a hypotenuse squared equals 2, it makes life very, very easy for you.